Everyone, welcome to this Facebook Live. This is Bess McCarty, Coach for Network Marketers, also called the Shrink of MLM. Today is the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. Usually I'm here with Jeffrey David Gamble, but today he's all up in the air. He's actually in an airplane flying at this moment to a convention, and he'll be attending that today and tomorrow, so I'll be covering the MLM Lunchtime Leadership shows today, and I want to welcome everybody that's coming on. Welcome, Sherry. If you're watching the replay, love if you type in replay, because I'd like to thank you for that. And welcome, Joanne. Welcome, Steve. Welcome. How are you doing? So every Monday through Friday, we come to you for the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show at noon Eastern Time to bring to you some tips about great. Yeah. Well, glad you found this, Sherry. Awesome. So every noon we come to you, usually Jeff and I do, for the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show for about 30 minutes for food for thought, where you can grow for lunch and learn about leadership and being a network marketing professional or a better entrepreneur or just a better person. I love all these leadership tips. Welcome, Shmala. Awesome. See, I sent you an invite. Yay. So if you're watching the replay, we'd love if you type that in, and like to also hear where you're from, where in the world that you're watching from. I know you're from South Africa, Shmala. Our purpose for these shows is to help people grow, to educate, equip, and empower entrepreneurs and create independent servant leaders. And guess what? We've been doing this for a year now, so we're celebrating this year with a month of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. The best book ever, right, for entrepreneurs. Some people say that's the number one book that they would ever recommend, and some people buy it for their team. So we're covering that this month as our anniversary celebration. And today is the chapter called The Sixth Sense. And very, very powerful that Napoleon Hill covered the practical aspects of how to get rich. He interviewed 500 of the top richest men in the world at that time, commissioned or sort of arranged, asked to do this by Andrew Carnegie. And he said yes, took him 20 years to do it. So he compiled all this cool information, how these men did it. It's worth listening to, worth paying attention to, right? So he compiled this, and it's very practical stuff and how they did and how they got their riches. But he also contains the kind of ethereal part too, because it works, because it exists, because it's very powerful. So today is about the sixth sense, and he says the sixth sense, the door to the temple of wisdom. That's pretty powerful. He also calls it in there. Welcome, Lysel. Glad to see you. He also calls this other names for it, the invisible counselor. I like that. A counselor that's always available to us whenever we have a question, whenever we have a need. It's free, it's immediate, or at least we can ask anytime immediately. A guidance. I call it the inner guidance. And that's one of my favorite aspects of spirituality, is knowing that this thing that's bigger than me is available for me to ask questions and give guidance and get help and answers beyond my own mind. And I got some coolest stories for you in a little bit of how that's happened for me. Thank you for the likes and loves. I do appreciate that. And if you have a comment, if you have a question about this, who has a story, who has an example of when their sixth sense worked for them? You know what that is, like when you think of someone and right then, and they call you right then, or you have a dream about someone that they're in trouble and you call them up and that's exactly what they're going through. It's like, wow, how could you have done that consciously or mentally? You know, something bigger than us, I call that. He calls it, Napoleon Hill calls it the infinite intelligence, the apex of success. He says it come only after you master the other 12 principles, which I'll read in a minute too. But he says that some people call it creative imagination, the receiving set, the guardian angel, hunches, intuition, or sometimes, miracles that seem to be, undeniable. Something's going on here. And that's what I want to share some examples, some stories with you in a little bit. Welcome, David. Awesome. Glad you're here. Glad everybody's here. So MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show, in case you don't recognize it with me, recognize this without my cohort, Jeff Gamble, who's flying right now in an airplane, so he is not able to attend. And welcome everybody. Welcome, Bala. So you might have had experience with this. You heard of things where people had this near accident, nearly lost their lives, but they had this guidance that saved them at the last moment. And where does that come from? So it's something. It's something that every great person has tapped into and knows about. Every successful person in all walks, in all categories of life, philosophers, scientists, artists, authors, speakers, motivational people. Everyone has tapped into this to some degree or other and knows about it. So it is pretty powerful. He says that you master this after you've mastered the other 12. So this is actually 13 of the 13 steps that Napoleon Hill describes in his Think and Grow Rich. So we're almost to the last chapter. Tomorrow will be the last chapter about overcoming fear. But here's the 12. He says desire, faith, autosuggestion, specialized knowledge, imagination, organized planning, decision, persistence, power of the mastermind, transforming sexuality into creativity, the subconscious mind, the brain, and the sixth sense. So that's a lot to master, very deep, but powerful. In the beginning of the book, I'm going to repeat something right here for the beginning of the book, then I'm going to give you some examples of miracles and some other tips. So at the very beginning, he offers up a suggestion, a 6-step suggestion for everybody to follow to manifest their goals and their success. And that is, number 1, know exactly what you wish to receive. If it's money amount or exactly, that exact amount. Number 2, when you wish to receive it. Number 3, what you're willing to give for it or give up for it. And then 4, a plan of how to make that happen and take action immediately. Number 5, write all this down. And number 6, say it, read it out loud upon arising and before retiring. He said, don't skip this stuff. Don't think, well, I know it in my head, so why should I write it down? I think about it every once in a while. That should be enough. He says, nope, write it down and read it aloud, not silently, but aloud. So that seems to be the formula, and I can say I've been doing it. I've done it before, but I read the book before, but this time I'm doing it deeper, more specific, more regular, and with more passion than before, and it is changing me. It's keeping me on track. It's making me step up my game. It's making me happy. I feel happy from it. I'm sleeping better. I've gotten more specific. I notice my actions in my day are aligning with what I wrote. So it's cool, y'all, if you try it. Hello, Nancy. Welcome. And hello, Michael Murphy. Glad to see everybody. Oh, good to see everybody. And Dee, hi. So, some examples of what I call miracles, something bigger than us at work that you can't deny. Hey, something's going on here. So I'm going to share a few personal examples from my own life with you. One that happened recently was I was on a Facebook Live, and I was just describing a story where a little boy, it was in Chicken Soup for the Soul, and this little boy befriended another little boy at school. He noticed that he was, cleaning out his locker and carrying some stuff home. And he lived near him. You can walk on the way. So he said, hey, how about if I, walk along with you or help you to carry these things? And he did, and they ended up playing for half an hour. Then the neighbor boy went home. And the boy who was carrying the stuff told him later, did you ever wonder why I was cleaning out my locker? He said, I had planned to kill myself that day, because he was being bullied at school, he didn't have friends, and things just weren't going right. And he was planning, to end his life that day after school. and he didn't want to leave a mess, so he was cleaning out his locker and carrying things home. So we never know, that friendship from the boy turned the tide. It was nothing to the little boy, hardly anything to the little boy who helped, but everything to the boy who got the help. So we never know how powerful a smile, a hello, a connection can be to someone. In this case, it saved a life. And right when I was telling that story on a recent Facebook Live, all of a sudden, when I said this boy saved his life, boom, a light bulb broke within a light fixture that I had right nearby here. Just completely, shocked me and shattered me. And then later a friend said I came on at that exact moment that the light bulb broke. And that friend confided to me that her purpose in life, she declared recently, a few years ago, was to help people prevent suicide. Anyway, I recorded that in my miracle journal. I keep a miracle journal, cool things that happen that I know something's at work bigger than me. And welcome, Michael. Welcome, Christina. Thank you all for being here. And I would love to hear any examples that you have, or if you have ever had intuition work in your life, this sixth sense, something bigger than you, something's going on, inner guidance, guardian angel, he calls it the invisible counselor. If you've ever had an experience like this in your life, would you type yes? Because I think that Newsweek reported that like 70 or 80% of all people have had experiences like this. So we know that we're not alone. Maybe everybody has to some degree or other. So would you type yes? Because then we'll know we're all in good company. Okay, some more stories from my miracle journal. Another one was when my little dog Charlie, who some of you have seen on my Facebook lives, when he was like never sick in his life, but one night he woke me up with a fever, and I felt his little ears, and they were hot and everything, and so he wasn't feeling good, and I just sort of like wondered, how can I help my dog at this moment? And all of a sudden this vision came to me. My inner sight came to me of some activated charcoal that I had in my medicine cabinet. I kept it there because I'm a holistic health practitioner and I like natural remedies. And I kept it there because it was good for snake or spider bites or insect bites or something. Right? I never even used it. I just kept it in there as part of my natural first aid kit. And I got this image of charcoal, my little bottle of charcoal. I said, what? And I looked it up on the internet, and it said that this can be used, vets use this all the time for dogs to absorb maybe some poisons or toxin that they could have eaten. And then I also had a dream that I was in a garage back in my mom's house, when I was little, and I went into the garage and there was a baby in there that had just eaten a yellow pill from the floor. And I held the baby, and I thought, oh no, that baby ate some medication. And then when I woke up, I opened one of my spiritual books, and there was contained a story about a lady who had a dream that said, trust your dreams. So I got the message, okay, I think I should trust my dream that my baby Charlie, my little doggy, ate something when we were out on a walk, maybe scarfed up a little, medication pill that somebody dropped or something like that. And then the vision of the charcoal came to me, my memory of the charcoal. I thought, aha, I think my sixth sense, my intuition, my inner guidance is telling me that my dog must have eaten a medication pill and was feeling the effects of it, and that if I gave him charcoal, it would absorb that poison in his body, that medication. So I did that, and gosh, he was better like, an hour later. I just mixed some in his food, and he was perky and good from then on. I did it a few more times to absorb that, but it was a dramatic change real fast. And, I could have taken him to the vet, but I don't know that they would have thought of it. They didn't have the dream. I had the dream. I'm the one who's invested in him. I loved him. He's no longer with us now. He's gone on to the happy hunting ground. Miss him a lot. But I'll always remember that very clear experience of the sixth sense working. I'll tell some more stories. Welcome, Lisa. Welcome, everybody. It gives me chills, but Lisa said it gives me chills, but warms my heart. Yeah. And so many stories we have people who have passed on, and they come and talk to us or tell us something. Okay, look here. Maybe, if something was missing or important papers were missing, and that person comes and says, remember to look in my second file cabinet in the back, and that's where the file is that you're looking for, and you go and look and it's there. It's like, whoa, That's that sixth sense. That's something bigger than us is working. Another example I have that I wrote in my miracle journal is that I was at a seminar one time and I had this book. It was a bellhop in the hotel. I would talk with him, and he actually wanted one of the spiritual books that I was at the seminar for. And I thought, how am I going to find him again? We were on our way out. The group of us were leaving to drive home, and we're on our way out. And I thought, well, I could leave it off at the service desk for him, but it'd be nice to hand him the book personally. And so 4 of us were trying to catch the elevators at the Minneapolis Hilton, and it was just really full. And we had to wait a long time for an elevator. Finally, an elevator opened, and the group I was with, the 4 of us, the other 3 people said, the elevator opened. There's only one person to squeeze in the elevator, and they all said to me, "Go!" to me, because I held the book that they knew I was trying to get to the bellhop. And so I jump in the elevator, and it goes down. And I wonder, how am I going to find Jim the bellhop? It goes down, down to the lobby. The elevator door opens, and right in front of me, like 6 inches away, is Jim the bellhop, getting ready to take somebody else's luggage up. I smiled at him. I handed him the book. He said, "Thank you." And he had to go. I had to go. So it was like, wow, what cool timing. But I think it happened because of intent. We set something out. We want to connect with someone, and life, if it's meant to be, will cooperate and do that. I've had other stories. I've had Jeff call me at the exact moment, Jeff Gamble, who a lot of you know, who does this show usually with me. One time I was working with a client who needed something very specific, and right at that moment Jeff called at the exact moment that person needed it. He just tuned in somehow, happened to call, and we were able to get that client the help and the answer. Another time I was walking my dog Charlie in my neighborhood, and I was aware that we were about to approach a corner. And I was aware that as we were approaching it, there was a mother and a little girl who were walking from a 90-degree angle direction. And I was noticing that, hey, we're going to meet at that corner at the exact time. I thought, well, what's that about? Is that about something supposed to talk with this lady? And when we met, she said, "Oh, I recognize your picture. I've been wanting to call you. I recognize you from your photo. I've been wanting to call you." And so we had a very, very strong connection that continues, and that was years ago. And that strong connection continues today. One last story I'll share is that when I was at that spiritual seminar, a friend donated $140 to buy material, books and other material for our local organization. So I go to the bookstore, I see what we would need, I round it all up, I put it in a basket, I go to the checkout counter, and the lady totaled it up, and I said, "Well, how much is it?" She said $140 even. So even though that's a small thing, I put it in my miracle journal to remind me that these bigger things are working in our lives. This bigger force, something greater than me that I can tap into, especially if I'm coming from a place of service and working for the good of the whole from an unselfish place. I don't think it works if it's just to serve just me. I think that, all these examples were about a bigger purpose that we have in life. But remember, if you have a bigger purpose, you're not alone. You're not doing it alone. This thing, this unseen great thing, is helping all of us. It's available. We might as well relax our fear, relax our doubt, aim big, aim to serve big, because this help is there to do that. So another cool story that Napoleon Hill tells a little bit along this line, and using his imagination and his intent that kind of turned to reality, was he said that he always liked to emulate the greats. He liked to The people that he admired was Charles Darwin, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Carnegie, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry Ford, Napoleon the Conqueror, and other people. And what he would do is he would study their lives. And he decided that he wanted to rebuild his character with composites from all the things that he admired from these people. So what he did is he not only studied their lives, but he created this imaginary council that he met with every day for years. Every night he met with them for years. And he would ask questions of them, to learn about things. Like he would say to Emerson, I request, and by the way, he was head of that council, so he could direct it. But he said to Emerson, I request that you impress upon my mind your understanding of nature. Give me access to this knowledge that you have. And he would do that with each of the qualities that he admired about the men. And he did this every night for years. That is cool. That's a cool, I think, a cool imaginative technique, and that he thought enough of himself to give himself the gift of the company of these men. It said that you become like the 5 people you hang around with, right? Well, I think there's more than 5, but what a cool idea that is. And he said that he even scared himself, that after a while, the conversations and the dialogue between them almost took a life on of their own. And just like happens when authors have said, well, they're writing a novel, and the characters seem to start taking on a life of their own and revealing things that was new to the author. And I had one friend that wrote, she goes, I can't wait to write the next chapter. I want to see what happens. It would almost take on a life of its own and dictate itself to her. And the characters would come to life and be very interesting to her. And that's what happened to Hill. It started becoming so real that he kind of got scared himself. He quit for a few months. And he said, I was kind of scared that I would forget that this was my imagination. But then I think he got back to it. And he said he could bring any problem that was in his life, to this council, and then listen to what they would say to him. I think that's a cool idea, a way to use, an innovative way to use that sixth sense. Why couldn't we do it? Right? The people that you admire most, keep them with you and talk with them, develop a relationship and a conversation with them. I think I might try that. And lastly, last tip about this chapter is Hill says that your mind soars higher each time you read this chapter. In other words, you get inspired, you get hope, you get enlivened, you get a creative idea comes to you, and he said each time you read this, it will take you to another higher level. So I've read the book maybe 3 or 4 times now, and definitely I am a better person now for having gone through this month of attending to this book again, even though I've read it before. I think because I'm a bigger person than I was before when I read it. I'm a different person. I'm hearing different things and new things. So that's my sharing for today. Anybody have a question? Hi, Madonna. Welcome. How good to see you. Anyone have a favorite takeaway? Something that you got? Your favorite thing you heard today? Maybe something that you will put in use in your life too. Shmola says thank you. If you got value today, I love if you comment, like, tag, share, tag a friend who also might like to hear this. I love when we can share in other Facebook groups so that other people can see this. So thank you so much for that. And let's keep the conversation going. If you're watching the replay, love it. You type that in. If you have a comment, a tip, a story, let's leave them here, because I think that is very, very cool. Actually, I'm collecting stories like that, so we'll be writing a little book about that. So, love to hear. Thank you for joining in. Oh, tomorrow is the last chapter of Think and Grow Rich, and that is how to overcome the 6 ghosts of fear. Something that we can all use, right? Fear seems to dog us in one form or another. Everybody goes through it. Everybody faces it. Even every successful person has faced fear or is. I'll say is because at every level there's always the next step. And I think that fear is at the heart of any block. And being a body-mind therapist, having led hundreds of network marketers through to breakthroughs, breaking through their blocks, their negative beliefs, their fears, I can say that at the heart of all of it is fear of some type. So he'll identify 6 fears, which we'll talk about tomorrow, and how to bust through those. Welcome, Eamon. Glad to see you. Thank you, friends, students from our school who are jumping on. Not only do Jeff and I teach the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show Monday through Friday at noon Eastern Time here, we also teach in a generic school for network marketers called the Mlm Millionaire Club. And we are teaching a special open house for that on Sunday, July 7th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. People are marking their calendars now for it, and we are offering a free ticket to this event, this open house, this class. What we're going to do at that class is we're going to teach how to always get a yes when prospecting. We're going to teach a method that doesn't get a no, doesn't get objections, works with all 4 personalities, works with all cultures, ages, genders, levels of influence. It's perfectly duplicatable, doesn't need a video. It works at helping people jump ranks because it's easy and duplicatable and simple. So we're teaching this at our open house on Sunday, July 7th, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. It will be recorded. If you register, then you can get the recording even if you can't attend. But another perk that we're giving that's really fun is we're going to have a free book giveaway then. And when you get your free ticket, that automatically enters you the drawing, because we're going to give away a lot of free personal growth books going to be mailed to you. They're going to be John Maxwell and other books. So we will put those in the mail to you. You must be present to win the drawing for the gift of the free books. I'll put the link to get your free ticket to get to that event and to enter you into the drawing for the free books below. So I think that's all the news for now. We thank you for watching. Jeff and Brandy, hope you're traveling safely to your event, and we'll see you all tomorrow at noon. Take care. Bye-bye.